food, health, and now to talk about education. We're very pleased to have the superintendent for the state of Michigan, Michael Rice, to join us. Michael, if you would.
We anticipate additional federal funding to help us in the area of food distribution, food provision in the coming weeks. There is a bill that passed the U.S. Senate last night. We anticipate it will pass the U.S. House, will be signed by the president, and we are hopeful that that will add additional food resources within our state. State M-STEP testing. We applied to the U.S. Department of Education for a waiver last week for the federal requirement to do annual state tests. We have received that waiver. We still need a state waiver from the state legislature. It's hard to imagine the logic of doing state testing in the midst of a public health crisis, but we do need state legislative action in this regard. Graduation requirements. Every senior who is on track to graduate before this crisis should graduate. We are committed to making that happen. If there is the requirement for state legislative action, we are going to work with the state legislature to make that happen.
And we have to make sure that all school employees are getting paid. And all teachers are. Most support staff are. I think there's probably a few examples of support staff who are not called into work not getting paid, but everyone should get paid. And more than that, what we're fighting for. And some districts are doing this, that everyone gets paid. But if I call you in to prepare and get food to kids or whatever else I call you in for as an hourly worker, you get overtime. And some districts are doing that. And I think that's the exact right, fair thing to do that we're fighting for.
The reality is I as superintendent, do not see this pandemic calming until May or June at best. And so I'm advocating for the state to announce a closure of schools so we can plan accordingly, continue online learning, not required, but enrichment, so we can focus on preparing for the summer, the fall. In addition, and I know other people are working on this, including myself, we need clarity from the legislature that we will be funded for 180 days and per pupil funding will not decrease. But the governor or the legislature has to act and give guidance so that we do not have a financial crisis down the road. I would rather announce the closing of schools so that our teachers can shift to interacting with our students more one-on-one, through FaceTime, through Teams, through Zoom, and other ways if the technology is there in the home. And I know that's a legitimate challenge, but for some we can work through that. Others we won't be able to. But that's one of the reasons why I want to shift, because then teachers can shift their mentality and their focus as well easier if we know this is where we stand in the next couple of weeks.
I want to give a special notice for all of the school districts. I know there are several that are listening. We are also taking applications from school districts, from the ISDs. We have received so many questions around the digital divide, getting the technology needs. So we are having constant conversations, working with some of our businesses who have offered pro bono services to help with the re-imaging of laptops. We're also working across multiple agencies to make sure we're getting that technology in the hands of our families.
As an organization, even on a statewide basis, working with the authorizers, we are collaborating with all the schools across, whether it's a district school, private parochial, charter schools. We're sharing best practices, we're sharing resources. Those that have already had and built some expertise, whether it's digital engagement, maybe it's language, maybe it's figuring out how to best serve students that may be homeless or may be at risk in some other way. There are people that have expertise in all these areas. We're sharing and cross-referencing that expertise with people who may not have it and are going to need it ASAP.
So my role in all of this is really to not recreate anything that's been done, but to create space and spotlight for those who are around the city and making sure that our children have what they need. That has turned into COVID313.org. It's something I encourage you to go in on your phones. It's meant to be mobile, not necessarily on a desktop, so it looks best on a phone. And what that site is, it's meant to be a hub to avoid sort of the runaround that happens when you're trying to find information at this scale. All of that content is curated from this partnership here, the coalition that's developed in response to all of this as it relates to serving children and youth and families. We do our best to link you to the most reliable and actionable resources. Everything is sort of crowdsourced, and in that way we have named experts in different topics, different buckets, to make sure that folks are looking out for the most important information as it gets online. So we are not here to spam you or just add another news stream. We want to make sure if there's something that a parent or someone connected to a school child in the city of Detroit needs to know, we are able to get that out to you.
You can find more at onedetroitpbs.org or subscribe to our social media channels and sign up for our One Detroit newsletter.